Hey everybody, how's it going? So I thought I'd do a little bit of a video build series here on my new comp toy. This is a CMAX chassis, of course. I'll show that to you. And we are building a lot of CMAX trucks these days. No exceptions here, except I came to realize that while I was at the Berkeley Scale Adventure Park that I actually don't have a Class 2 truck with lights on it and all that other stuff, so something that I can actually use for, you know, more competition kind of a build. And because of that, I thought I better build a new truck. That's kind of what the comp toy is going to become. So of course it's a Toyota FJ40 hardbody that is from RC 4-wheel drive, and then of course I'm going to use the CMAX chassis, which has leaf springs front and back. Couple of simple things here that I'm doing just to kind of get the project started. I'll kind of show you some of my, I guess it's sort of like setup tips all the way along as I'm building the truck, and kind of things that I do that kind of help me get it started, because I really don't know where to start. So the first thing I did to get the build going was actually just get a CMAX starter kit and put that together. The CMAX starter kit already has the rails in it. It's got the servo mount, it's got the tranny cross member, which I don't have in yet, and it comes with these cross members here in the tranny, or in the frame rail in the back, so that you can get that located up. And then you've got sort of the platform that you need to kind of get started. So that's the CMAX starter kit, and of course it's the authentic, you know, CMAX. So I wanted to do a cruiser, an old style cruiser, and of course that would be leaf springs. And it just seemed to me that the leaf springs on the truck were, on the Toyota, seemed to be like always way out in front here. So I thought I would start off the build with the basic combo, and then I would start off by hanging my leaf hanger here, and then attach my leaf spring. That's the next step, gave me where to put the rear shackle so I can get my suspension in the front. And then I lined up the body. I just dropped the body on to kind of see where this was going to end up on the wheel arch, and I think we're doing pretty well here. So it looks sort of FJ40-ish in the front so far. What I did is I set up the servo mount, because it's all adjustable on the CMAX. I set up the servo mount bolts on the frame rail so that I could get the servo right against the grill on the inside. You can see how the mount is there. So that's how I set that up, just right here. There's a bunch of holes you can bolt it together with here, so I use those. And then to locate the body, I just stuck a couple extra screws in the front here so I could, you know, sort of keep it in position. And I got it lined up across this frame so it's kind of left and right centered. And then eyeballed my wheel arch, and I'm pretty much there as far as the wheel arch goes, so I'm happy with that. And then I like how the frame sits in the chassis too. Like, this is a legitimate spot here for the frame to come out on a 40, so that's a pretty good place to start. And that's kind of how I start most of the builds. I really just kind of, I get the chassis going, and then when the chassis is kind of set up, I start with the front end. Pretty much always start with the front end and get the front wheels lined up on a fresh build so you can kind of see where that's going to take you. And then now that I've got this pretty much in the right line, I moved over, just kind of eyeballed the frame to see where it would go in the chassis, to get the chassis lined up with the rest of the truck. And of course in the back here I stuck a couple of 3D printed pieces of junk I had. I just screwed them on there so that I could locate the body, and it just kind of hangs over these so it's got somewhere to sit. And then I centered that on the frame. And once I knew the body was sort of situated in the right spot, I'm pretty happy with the way the frame comes out. It just seems like all the CMAX trucks that we've been building, just the way that the arch is on the CMAX chassis and the way it comes out at the front and back, it just seems to be right for pretty much all of our new builds. So I'm really happy about that. And you can see that on the FJ Cruiser there's tons and tons of frame space here. If I line this up with the cutout doors, the frame is pretty much low as I need it to go. And you can just barely see it hanging out there at the bottom. So that's perfect. And then the next step I did was to attach the front leaf hangers and try to get the rear axle centered in the wheel arch. And the way that this body is made, it's so incredibly wide that you can see here the body is so huge that there wasn't really any need for me to cut out the wheel arches, because my tire is actually going to sit inside the wheel well anyway. I'm going to use a huge Rock Beast 1.9, so there's lots of tire. And you can see there with the TM8 GCM axles that are underneath it, there's lots of room for tires in the back. So that's good. That's kind of where I'm at. The next thing I want to tell you about is my tire choice and stuff. I was going to use these RC four-wheel drive rims. These are, I had these kicking around from another buy there a long time ago. They were used and they're really nice. But I think they're called hazard rims or something like that. But I kind of ran into a problem with these. The way that these are made with the ring on the back of the wheel. I'll just show you what this is. The bead lock ring sits on the back of the wheel, and it's actually not, kind of has a bulge in it. I don't know if I can actually show you that in the camera, but I wonder if I can get the light in there. Can't really get the light in there to show you. But basically there's a lip on the inside of the rim, and can't really show you the lip. So that might kind of show you right there. There's a lip on the inside right here, and this lip is bigger than the inside of the rim. It kind of steps out right there. That was a problem, because it turns out that you know, the TM8 axle sets that we use for a lot of the CMAX trucks, they use the Viterra steering knuckle, Viterra Ascender, and these RC four-wheel drive rims with this type of beadlock ring on the back, they actually don't fit over a Viterra knuckle, and nobody told me that. So with the rim off, with the beadlock ring off, the rim is wide enough to just get on, but I can't bolt the tire together with this on there. And I tried kind of shaving it a little bit to see if I could get it to not rub, but it's like, its interference fit like by 3 or 4 millimeters, so it's just not going to fit. I mean, it won't. I'd have to have a huge hex spacer on it to make the wheel come right out to clear the knuckle. It's not my thing. So I moved over to these SSD wheels, which are going to be a lot better choice for this particular build. The SSD wheel has only uses the 6 bolts here in the middle for the bead locking, and it squishes together both of the steel plates. You can kind of see both layers there. Both of the stamped steel wheel parts are connected by those bolts with the hex adapter at the back kind of clamping it all together, and they clear the knuckle like with tons of room to spare. So I decided to go with that. And then you know, I got these tires, actually these used Rock Beasts, I got them on these hazard rims quite a while ago, and came to my attention when I took them apart that they were actually CI 2-stage foams inside, which is really kind of cool, except I'm super annoying and I don't like them. So I decided to print new inside rings. Basically what I did is I first, this is kind of my new tire tech that I've been using for a while now. Instead of using the beadlock ring that came with the SSD wheel and then putting that inside the one stage and then putting that inside the second stage, I decided to eliminate these two things, gone, and replace them with one new 3D printed hard plastic ring, which actually conforms to the tire sidewall better. And actually all that noise on the side is my printer. Actually, it's printing another one right now. So here's one that just came off the printer. And what that actually gets me is, it gets me a Rock Beast with the single stage foam on the outside. I also cut them off here so they're narrower. They were wide out to about here, and then they were squished in the tire, but now they're still a little bit wider than the tire, but they work like they fit better. And there's a finished one. So as you can see, I've got lots of squish on here with the single stage foam. The way that the beadlock ring is with the kind of a V pattern in the middle, I've got more squish in the middle, which kind of helps me with terrain, you know, getting over the rocky sort of terrain. But then on the sides, because the V goes up on the sides of the tire, there's a lot of support on the sides. So the side hilling on the tire is just incredible. And they work really well side hilling. They don't squish over. And you can still get plenty of squish on the tire. But because of the size of the ring, you know, you can kind of see pretty clearly how much of the tire is going to be foam and how much of it is going to have hard support inside. And that makes all the difference in the world, actually. It's pretty amazing how well these work. I think a whole bunch of you guys have already seen me do this on the Blazer builds and the 110, the 90. We did this on the 90 rims as well. We did this same trick on Steven's brown Jeep that he built with the Vitara 1.9s. It's a popular thing. I don't know what to say. So it works really well. And a whole bunch of you guys have asked me, can you send me the files? Can you, you know, make me some for my wheels and stuff? We can. But it's so easy to measure it up and then get them printed yourself. Basically, all you got to do is take the ring that came with your tire and copy the inside portion of it and the width of the wheel, and then just simply make it bigger this direction so that it's actually wider. And when it's wider, it fills up more of the foam space instead of just floppy foam. And then if you want to do a really nice trick, you would copy John Schultz's idea that he does on his, he does the same kind of trick, but on his SC tires he actually glues the foam onto the locking ring, which I think is a really important trick too. And we do the same thing on ours. We actually glue that on. So this will have the foam ring put on it, and then we'll actually put shoe goo on both sides here, and then put the foam all over top of it so that when the foam is on it, it can't slide around. It's a really thin layer, but that makes a big difference because the foam can't shift when you're side hilling then and make the tire all wacky, or if you happen to be steering and the tread's pushing underneath, you don't want it to push underneath and then also take the foam with it. So that's the reason why we glue that on there. But so there's a bit of where we're going with the build. The new comp toy will of course have a full-scale drivetrain in it there with the LRT2 transmission combo will go in there, the typical CMAX stuff, and then we'll do all custom tube work and custom bumpers and all kinds of stuff, so it'll look like an actual proper comp truck when we're done. And we'll get the winch on there and the whole bit and light it up and, you know, do some legitimate class 2 building and get something we can use for night runs, and I think it'll be great. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more from the comp toy. Bye bye.